Back another album review. Today's review is on the soundtrack for Escape from LA. Just as a disclaimer, I haven't seen the movie, but I just had to get the soundtrack because it features a bunch of bands that I really like. Anyways, the executive producers were Jason Flom and Kevin Weaver. The associate producer was Daniel Savage. The mastering is done by Stephen Markison, and I reviewed various other albums that he has worked on. The soundtrack was released on July 16th, 96 on Lava Records and Atlantic Records. That was 30 years ago as of the making of this video. Granted, only half of the songs were actually in the movie, and there's 14 tracks. Now let's talk about the songs. The first song is Dawn by Stabbing Westward. I'm somewhat familiar with this band, and I may get around to reviewing their discography at some point. The next track is Sweat by Tool. This wasn't on any of the band's studio albums, and it was made specifically for the soundtrack. Speaking of which, 96 was the same year Tool released Anima, which I reviewed last year. After that is The One by White Zombie. What 90s soundtrack would be complete without a White Zombie song? That being said, this is my favorite song on the soundtrack. Next up is Cut Me Out by Toadies. My first exposure to this band was when the music video for Possum Kingdom was featured on Beavis and Butthead, even though they weren't fans of this band. Up next is Pottery by Butthole Surfers. I'd say this is my third favorite song on the soundtrack. And this is the second soundtrack I reviewed this month that features a Butthole Surfers song. I guess I just can't escape these guys. No pun intended. We follow up with 10 Seconds Down by Sugar Ray. And this track is actually in the movie, as indicated by the back of the jewel case. That's followed by Blame LA Remix by Gravity Kills. It should come as no surprise that this track was actually in the movie. Right after that is Professional Widow by Tori Amos. This track was taken directly from her album Boys for Pele. The track after that is Paisley by Ministry. Back when I reviewed Filth Pig, I talked about the song being a B-side from the Filth Pig sessions. It really does sound like it would have fit right in on that album despite being a B-side. The track that comes next is Fire in the Hole by Orange 9mm. I'm somewhat familiar with Orange 9mm since Bush's lead guitarist, Chris Traynor, has worked with them. What's next is Escape from the Prison Planet by Clutch. The irony is that the song wasn't even in the movie. What comes after that is Et tu Brute by CIV. This is one of the lesser known artists who are featured on the soundtrack. The second to last track is Foot on the Gas by Sexpod. Here's another one of the lesser known artists. The last song is Can't Even Breathe by Deftones. Deftones were just rolling off the success of their debut album, Adrenaline, which came out the previous year. The song sounds very similar to the songs on Adrenaline, and it's my second favorite song on the soundtrack. In some ways, it kind of sounds like it bridges the gap between Adrenaline and Around the Fur. I couldn't find any information regarding how this album formed commercially. All music, though, was mediocre. However, it does have a 3.86 out of 5 on Discogs. Now for my thoughts. I think this is a great soundtrack. Listening to it is like opening up a time capsule from the mid-90s. It also gives me a reminder that movie soundtracks were way better back then. Probably because most of the 90s soundtracks I listen to mostly have rock and metal music, while a lot of modern soundtracks have that pop and R&B trash. This usually doesn't apply to OSTs, because most modern movie OSTs that I've listened to are really good. It's a shame that this soundtrack wasn't a huge hit, especially compared to the soundtrack for The Crow, which went platinum. Overall, I highly recommend the soundtrack, and I place it among my favorite movie soundtracks. Now it's the part where I question you. Have you listened to the soundtrack to Escape from LA? If so, what do you think about it? What's your favorite song from it? If you've seen the movie, what do you think about it? What other artists do you think should have been featured? Let me know in the comments. If you like the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to press the notification bell to notify of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with another review.